All right, now just because I lean towards Bryan Kohberger being guilty doesn't mean I'm gonna let you guilters get away with your bullshit. Somehow y'all dragged this big ass dope fiend into the story because she's the second witness to Bryan Kohberger. Stop it. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Let's get on into this madness. Let's do it.
Bring it back.
What's going on, everybody? As you guys know, I'm JB Gunner, and this is Crime Time. Now, before we get into this goofy fuck, let me first and foremost say thank you to everybody that supports the channel. Hell, any of my channels, regardless of platform, regardless of method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't have done this for the last 19 years on all these different platforms if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. I appreciate you guys so much, and if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Show some love. Join the Gun Squad. You can also find the links to some of my other channels just by going to my homepage and scrolling down, or even checking the description. Let's do this. This goofy dope fiend fuck that you see right here next to me, this woman's name is Molly, I believe. Molly's her name? Yes. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull it up so I get it right. Her name is Molly McMichael. Who is this Molly McMichael, you may ask? Chances are you haven't, because everybody else has probably already talked about this. It is the DoorDash driver or the supposed DoorDash driver from the night of the Idaho 4 murders. This dope fiend has been arrested for DUI several times. This dope fiend used the fact that she was a witness in this upcoming trial, which is, by the way, 59 days away, I think. It will be, spoiler, it'll be continued today. Well, for you guys, I will make a video afterwards, but I can almost 90% guarantee that this case will be continued today. I believe today is the day they'll decide on the continuance. I do not believe we will see the Bryan Kohberger trial this year. But anyway, back to this woman. This woman has been revealed as the second witness to Bryan Kohberger. Now, this woman clearly, based on her drug use, heroin, there's definitely some meth or something involved here, is not going to be a reliable witness. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, with her name now getting out, she may not even show up. I'm not 100% sure. But let's get to the story in case you do not know. Let's just go ahead and go to the Idaho Statesman. Let's start off going here. DoorDash driver in Kohberger case expects to testify at trial that she saw Bryan. Now, I find this a little odd. Now, many of us have asked, how come the DoorDash driver didn't see Bryan? This has been held close to the vest, tight to the vest, however they say it, all this time. You want me to believe that this woman saw Bryan. That's what she's going to testify to. Let's continue on with the story. Judge Stephen Hitler requests the defense to submit actual evidence and admissibility justification for their alternate perpetrator claims by May 23rd, as current submissions appear objectionable by Louis Alessi, a Moscow woman who said she worked. Okay, I was just reading that. A Moscow woman who said she worked for DoorDash food delivery service experts to testify at Bryan Kohberger's upcoming murder trial that she brought an order to one of the victims in the University of Idaho student homicides and saw the suspect. The 44-year-old woman, dope fiend, told police following a traffic stop last year in Pullman, Washington, that she delivered food to the home of the murders moments before the 4 graduates were stabbed to death early in the morning on November 13, 2022. She also told an officer with the Pullman Police Department that she may be called to the stand in a high-profile trial, according to the video of the conversation in body camera footage posted on YouTube, which we'll take a look at here in just a second. She goes on to say, now I have to testify in the big murder case, the woman said, and clarified it as the incident involving the young women in Moscow. I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Bryan. I hope that they let this woman come up there and testify, I saw Bryan. Listen, there's already so much goofiness going on with this case. If you let this dope fiend go on this, take the stand, this woman who's consistently being pulled over for being high while driving, and you let her point the finger at Bryan Kohberger, I'm telling you, will walk on this case. There's already enough fuckery. There's already enough goofiness. We're dealing with fluffy eyebrows and shit, bushy eyebrows and shit from a drunk kid. Now we're dealing with a high-ass 44-year-old woman. All the drugs and alcohol in this particular town is through the roof. And I knew it was going to be this way because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Usually, if you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're either getting some really good pussy or you're getting fucked up. I'm just being honest. It's just the way the world works. She said, I parked right next to him. So we'll get to that because that's a very important element to this. The Idaho statesman is not naming the woman. I'm naming her. Her name is, who hasn't widely identified herself as the DoorDash driver. Once again, her name is Molly McMichael from Idaho. And we'll take a look at her here in just a second. We'll take a look at all this information. I do want to say that from my understanding, it was Truth and Transparency that initially uncovered this and brought it to everybody's attention. I'm 4 days late because, well, it's just the way it works with me. But there's been plenty of people to talk about this, Truth and Transparency, harsh reality, because I think it is something that needs talked about. No matter which side of the aisle you're on. Kohberger is charged with the killings, we already know. Coronado received a DoorDash order at approximately 4 a.m., November 13th, police said, in a probable cause affidavit. Now, I got a problem with this. Prosecutors said the 4 homicides happened within a 13-minute window between 4:07 and 4:20. Now, there's a reason that they said, I want you to understand, DoorDash from Jack in the Box in Pullman across the line from Moscow arrived at 3:59 a.m. Now, I'm going to tell you why I do not believe that she parked next to Bryan Kohberger's car. Because she is saying that she pulled up and she parked right next to Kohberger's car. Now, keep in mind, it said the order was delivered at 3:59. Let's take a look. From the best of my knowledge, by looking here, the last time Kohberger's car was seen on camera prior to the murders was at 4:04 a.m. So how the fuck did she park next to Bryan Kohberger when Kohberger didn't seem to have parked until about 4:05, but she delivered the order at 3:59? That's just a question I have for the students in the class. Right off the jump, they're going to eat that up. And when I'm thinking back to the camera footage that we saw of the constant going around, you understand what I'm saying? We all know around 4:20 it sped off, but that sounds right. That even prior to 4, even at 4 a.m., the car was still going. So how could she have parked next to a car that had not parked yet is my question. How could she have parked next to a car that had not parked yet? So anyway, when surveillance cameras recorded what police alleged was a white Hyundai Elantra in the neighborhood. The DoorDash delivered at 3:59. The particular evidence provides a timeline of events for Xana Coronado before the homicides and corroborates state witness testimony, they wrote. The Moscow woman's account of delivering food for DoorDash matches that of recent court filings. In the closely watched case that the state stated the driver's initials are MM. In addition, a private investigator who worked on behalf of Gonsalves' parents told them that the DoorDash driver was female. Gonsalves, the victim's father, told the statements in a text message Monday. In March, Kohberger's defense submitted a legal brief that said an expert witness for the prosecution will testify that their client had no connection to the residents of the home, including the 4 victims, nor the DoorDash driver, among others affiliated with the case. Police search warrant returned from DoorDash contained photographs, a list of deliveries to King Road dating back to 2019, and a spreadsheet of communication between the person ordering the food and the driver. The food delivery company worked with detectives in the case since at least November 23rd, 2022. So they've been doing this. DoorDash didn't respond to comment. 2 listed phone numbers for Molly did not go through, and an email on her from the statesman went unanswered Friday. Now, obviously, Kohberger is coming back here. He's going to court today. As you see this video, I believe he goes to court sometime around 1 or some shit like that. But anyway, the long-sought information on the DoorDash driver's identity recently surfaced in body cam footage on Officer Axon's YouTube page. The page posts videos including police arrests obtained through public records requests. So she was driving a pickup truck with expired tags. An officer with the Pullman Police Department arrived as requested backup, obtained a statement. The district court also provided a statement with records that matched September's traffic stop. They didn't immediately, the police department, respond to public records requests from the statements for body cam footage posted on the YouTube page, nor the officer's incident report or citation issued to Molly. So this woman, clearly, I just want you to see this. This is who the state's going to bring to the table. This woman right here. Listen to it.
You have to testify in which murder? Oh.
Says she saw Bryan. She's high as fuck. She's high as shit. Park next to him. She's high as shit. So this is what she's claiming. There's no real follow-up or pushback on this.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can see, this chick is clearly smashed. Big ogre Shrek-looking bitch. Clearly. So she's going to go testify that she parked next to Bryan Kohberger, even though the car was still seen driving around after 4 a.m., and she delivered the order at 3:59. Let me also say this. If you're a DoorDash driver, would you, let's be honest here, would you take that little side road? And because listen, why wasn't her car caught on all them cameras? I can tell you the answer. Because she didn't go the same route as Kohberger. So she probably, or whoever committed the crimes, she more than likely, like most DoorDash drivers, parked and stopped at the front of the house. Delivered the order. What's the odds that she parked on the side next to Bryan Kohberger and then snuck down down the hill and into the side door? Chances are this woman, she delivered the order to the front door. I'm just being dead honest. That in all logic points in that direction. So this fatback bitch, she's all drunk or not drunk. She's all high and shit. Can barely walk in here. She's just struggling. She's all fucked up. This is definitely not a reliable witness. Let's go ahead and go to Bumfield. Let's see what Bumfield's got to say about the situation.
We are only 55 days away from the
55 days.
In the Idaho quadruple murder trial. And if you thought things couldn't look any worse for Bryan Kohberger with, the DNA and the cell phone data and the surveillance video and
actually, I don't think
description of his eyebrows.
I don't think there's that much evidence against him. I'm being dead honest. I personally believe Bryan Kohberger did this. But once again, I would not convict Bryan Kohberger if I was on the jury, because I think the evidence is circumstantial and pretty much garbage. Now, granted, I haven't seen it. I'm sure there's a little bit at least that I'm going to see. But this is the evidence that leaked out, is that some dope fiend bitch said, I saw Bryan Kohberger parked right next to him, even though the times don't match up right. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about the times, correct me if I'm wrong.
At least, not to mention the laughable alibi. I like stargazing at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Here goes Bumfield.
I know. I kind of thought that too until what I heard today. A smoking gun.
A smoking gun?
Sides somehow managed to keep under wraps for months.
Smoking gun, they say.
There is apparently another eyewitness. It's the DoorDash driver.
Oh.
Who delivered food to Xana Kernodle less than 10.
Let me tell you something. You got to remember, there wasn't always a gag order on this. I refuse to believe that this dope fiend bitch, if she really was involved in this case, I refuse to believe that if she saw Kohberger, that she wouldn't have already talked by now. She would have got high and talked to some. Damn, look at this bitch. Are you sitting here telling me you think this bitch can keep this secret all this time? Unless she's being offered state benefits. Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Minutes
We'll make you a deal if you testify type shit.
before Xana and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin and Xana's housemate
Wouldn't that be a
Maddie Nolan and
motherfucker?
Kaylee Gonzalez were all savagely murdered by an intruder. Police have confirmed to us that a woman seen in some of the interrogation footage from an unrelated incident is a 43-year-old woman known only as M.M. in the court documents.
Full name is Molly McMichael. Molly McMichael. That's the name.
She was arrested that day for a DUI while being questioned at the
course she
Pullman,
was.
Washington police station.
Dope thing.
Just happened to reveal to the officers that she had to, quote, testify in a big murder case here
Oh.
because I'm the DoorDash driver, end quote.
Ain't that amazing?
When the officer asks which murder case,
I wonder how high she was that night.
the woman says, quote, the murder case with the college girls.
Oh.
I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Bryan there.
Interesting.
I parked right next to him, end quote. And I think I need to read that last part again because I did a double
Please
take when
do.
I first saw it. I saw Bryan there, she says. I parked right next to him.
So was he sitting in the car and shit, vibing to some tunes? Y'all motherfuckers looked over at each other, these magic moments, and he just looked at you and was like, what's up, girl? What's up, girl? And then decided to go murder 4 people? Come, get the fuck out of here. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
That interrogation video was posted on a YouTube account where it was discovered by web sleuths. And
That's right.
journalists. It's unclear, though, whether the woman's outing will affect the start date of the trial itself.
I think it will. There's too much shit like, and by the way, just in case you do not know, Amazon Prime, Amazon Video, is going to do a 4-part docuseries on the Idaho 4 starting 1 month prior to the trial. There's no way. There is absolutely no way we see this trial in 2025. No way. I would probably bet the channel. That's how serious I believe. That's how I believe wholeheartedly this case is getting continued. I definitely believe it.
The defense has been pushing for a delay for weeks now, but that's over the media leaks, the whole Dateline.
And now we got even more.
And that is due to be the subject of
Ain't that crazy how all the leaks keep happening? Nothing benefits Kohberger. Well, this might benefit Kohberger.
big hearing tomorrow. But the prosecutors want the trial to stay on target for the planned August 11th beginning. Our senior national correspondent, Bryan Enton, is in Boise, Idaho.
I mean, yeah, that would be good for us YouTubers,
All
but
of this means, first of all, I did not see this coming. A second eyewitness.
Yeah, this is a bombshell, Ashley. If it is true what this DoorDash driver is saying, then this is a bombshell. I came to Boise thinking that the hearing tomorrow was going to be the big story, but this is big. The Idaho Statesman was the first to break it today. Basically, this DoorDash driver, who we knew existed, by the way. We've known for a long time there was a DoorDash driver, that she goes by MM. She's been referenced in the court documents. We knew that she arrived there to deliver DoorDash at 4 a.m., about 10 minutes or so before the murders. But what we didn't know...
10 minutes before the murders, but parked next to Bryan Kohberger. 10 minutes before the murders, but somehow parked next to Bryan Kohberger. Stop.
Is what is in this body camera video. And let me explain this a little bit. You did, Ashley, but the reason we know about this is because last year, this DoorDash driver, totally unrelated to the Bryan Kohberger case, she got pulled over, suspected of driving under the influence. She had a expired tag, suspected of being under prescription pills, and she got pulled over, and she just started volunteering this information to the police while she was being interviewed, and it's on body cam. And she said that she's the DoorDash driver from the Bryan Kohberger case, that she saw Bryan Kohberger, which is really the headline here.
Because it's bullshit.
She's a witness who saw Bryan Kohberger, and all of this just happened to come out through this.
This is a good way to get this case completely thrown out. This is a good way. Now, I would believe her if she said she's passed the car on the road. But this bitch literally said she pulled up next to Bryan Kohberger, parked next to Bryan Kohberger, saw Bryan Kohberger, got out, delivered the food, and then Bryan Kohberger still went in there and did it. It's all bullshit. You know this is bullshit. And anyone that co-signs this has got to be out of their fucking mind. Out of their mind.
New body camera video from Pullman, Washington.
No question.
So, Bryan, take us back to the house. We're going to have to describe it because the house has been torn down. But if you look at the front of the house, there's a parking lot out front where all the cars...
Which is where the DoorDash driver would go.
...were lined up, and they stayed that way till they were all towed. But this DoorDash driver said, I parked next to him.
Right.
Which makes me wonder if she's talking about the parking lot out front, or if she's talking about that side street off to the left where that bushy tree is, that big tall bushy tree is, just adjacent to the red car there.
Right.
Because there's a side street that goes up that left-hand side of the house, and isn't it
it's a very
believed that the killer used? Yeah. Walk me through that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There was someone talking in my ear. Yeah, it's a very, very important part of what she said. Not only that she said, I saw Bryan Kohberger, but I wrote this down. She said, I parked right next to him. Now, you think about DoorDash. We all order DoorDash. A DoorDash driver typically would park right in front of the house where they're delivering the food.
Absolutely.
They pull into the driveway.
Absolutely.
In the driveway, they get out, they go to the front door, they give
especially in the middle of the night. If it's the middle of the night and you're a DoorDash driver, wouldn't you want to park where it's the most lit up, where it's the most safe? And logically, I would say, probably, in my opinion, if I was a DoorDash driver, I wouldn't park at the side or back of someone's house. And I'm a big dude, and I still wouldn't do it. I'd go right to the front where all the other cars are, right to the front door with the porch light, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Why would you park? What's the odds that you just happen to park in the side back area where a fucking mass murderer is parked? You know what I'm saying? What's the odds?
Customer the food. Why would the DoorDash driver drive onto the side street of the house, which with the murder house, you've got the front of the house, you've got the driveway like you described it, but then you've got this side road that goes up the side near an apartment building. You can't even walk down to the house you'd have to go through the woods unless you walked all the way around to the side road. We don't know exactly where Bryan Kohberger parked, if he's guilty of all this. They've never said that in any of the documents. We know that he's caught on camera going up there and going up towards the house, but we don't know exactly where he parks. But if she's saying that she parked right next to him, does that mean that he parked right in front of the house, that he just pulled right in the driveway?
Which makes no sense, man. Makes no sense.
And then went in for about 10 minutes to commit these murders. We don't know, but it's certainly interesting to think about.
Yo.
That's what I wondered. And then also, just with the pictures we're looking at now, again, I'm always so sad when I see those cars parked out front behind the yellow police tape.
Where would Kohberger have parked?
The vehicle.
Where would they have parked?
From the kids who would never come back to use their own vehicles until their parents or their loved ones took those vehicles away. But it certainly doesn't look like there's a whole lot of room, which made me wonder if this DoorDash driver parked out front on the street, knowing, well, I can't go into this little parking lot.
Which is what most people would do. But yeah, she could have pulled in there. There's still a big open space where she could have parked, left the car running, delivered the DoorDash, came back out. This is all bullshit.
I'm just going to have to park out here on the street, which now would make a little more sense. If Bryan Kohberger did this, if he's really the killer, he might be surveilling from a little farther away, not so obvious, and out on the street. But that's the only thing I can think of, because as you said, going up that side road, it's really hard to get access to the house. As
absolutely.
A DoorDash driver, you
absolutely.
go up that side road to the side of the house.
Bingo.
Yeah, the whole thing up there is tight and confusing. The layout when you drive up there is very, very strange and tight. We would always have a hard time finding a place to park up there. There's a little bit of parking on the street there, but it's difficult. It's hard to get in there. So there's a place where maybe
It's not ideal for DoorDash. Let's just be real.
DoorDash driver could have just pulled off without going.
Which means she didn't park next to Bryan Kohberger. Let that sink in. How could she have parked next to Bryan Kohberger on
into
this?
the driveway and like put their flashers on and run up with the food?
No chance.
But
No chance. Look at the hill. Look at the little woods up there. No fucking shot. She clearly pulled into the front.
It's hard to imagine that Bryan Kohberger just parked right in front of the house.
Not a chance.
I have to say, I'm a little skeptical
of the story?
Of this whole story.
Yeah.
Just the way that it came out through the body camera video. The fact
some bitch that was high on dope? Yeah.
That in all of the police documents that we've been able to see in the probable cause, we knew there was a DoorDash driver, Ashley, but if they had a real credible witness who saw Bryan Kohberger at the house, that is huge. How would we not know that by now? It's possible it's just like a bombshell that they're saving for the trial, but don't you think maybe that would have been in the probable
cause?
In all these court...
Of course it would have been.
Hearings that we've been to where we get new little nuggets, I would have thought maybe we would have heard about that by now.
I can't believe that it wasn't even a whisper rumor. You're right, especially with all the reporters that descended upon the story, finding every DoorDash driver in town.
Because it's all bullshit.
That we tried to reach every DoorDash driver in town, but the problem is everybody, does side hustles with DoorDash, so it could have been anybody, and that was the problem with actually trying to find the person who did deliver.
Well, we know who it is now.
Okay, the question about this person in particular, MM, the woman in particular who told the police, I'm the one who's going to have to testify.
Molly probably takes eating a lot of Molly.
In this case, I'm the DoorDash driver. I can't imagine what it's like to be her, because she had nothing to do with any of this. I'm sure she wants nothing to do with any of this. Like the stress and the frustration that this would have brought to her life, I'm sure is unthinkable.
She was already stressed and high.
But she also may have the credibility issues, especially if
there's
a DUI in play, or drinking, and she seemed to say on the body
pills.
Cam, it isn't the first time.
Right.
Yeah, and look, I feel terrible for her too, Ash. I mean, the fact that we've confirmed she is the DoorDash driver, and she was there at 4 a.m. just minutes before this brutal slaughter happened. That's a hard thing to deal with, I'm sure, and I feel very, very sorry for this woman. But in terms of credibility, I've seen the body camera video. She's pulled over, she's crying, she's had DUI in the past. They take her back to the station. She's emotional, she's distraught. And she said,
a lot of drugs circulating over Moscow, huh?
As I'm the and she's just telling this cop that I'm the witness from the Bryan Kohberger case. I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Bryan. I parked right next to him. I'm just wondering, was she was really the DoorDash driver, but like maybe she thinks that she parked right next to him, but it's
called a lie, Bryan.
Wasn't actually him. I don't know. I just think about the credibility. And I go back to the point that how is this the first time?
Dope fiends cannot be trusted. Dope fiends cannot be believed. I don't give a damn what kind of dope fiend they are. If they do dope of any kind, they cannot be believed. They're not reliable. It's just the truth. Why you always gotta talk about us dope fiends, JB? Because you guys are horrible people. Well, what about your drinking? Drinking is legal. Drinking doesn't make you a horrible person. Doing illicit, illegal drugs, whether certain drugs are legal in your town or not, doesn't matter because they're illegal federally, makes you a bad person. Period. Period. You could take one look at this person and know that they've lied before and they've stolen some shit before, both to obtain mind-altering substances. You can take one look at this bitch and know for sure that I'm telling the truth.
Time we're hearing this story, and it's through this means, through a body camera video that's totally unrelated of this woman in a very, very desperate situation after she gets pulled over for DUI.
So what do you think just in terms of this hearing tomorrow? Look, like you said, your focus was all about the Dateline leaks and how the defense was just sort of apoplectic about how this information got out from under the gag. Now there's this, and it's out there. It's not a leak. It's just, people put things together.
Yeah, you got to continue
it. Is this going to have an effect?
Yeah.
Potentially on tomorrow's hearing and the
it's going to get continued,
which is a delay in the upcoming August start.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't think so.
No, it will.
This will not come up at the hearing. I do think it's going to be a bombshell hearing. I think it's going to be a really interesting, juicy hearing. I think that the judge is going to have to hear both sides about whether they want to delay, and I think he'll probably make a decision because they've already filed their briefs with their reasoning. But what I'm more interested in is at the last hearing, Ashley, you remember, he talked about wanting to bring on a special prosecutor to do an investigation to sniff out who the leaker is within law enforcement and figure out who leaked that information to Dateline. I think we're going to get an update on that. Are they going to bring in a special prosecutor now to have, could there be criminal charges? Have they figured out who this person is?
Man.
Maybe they figured it out by now.
Man.
I'm very interested in all of that, which is gonna come out at this hearing tomorrow, Ashley.
Have you been, and listen, everything in this case has been difficult to learn, but have you heard any rumblings of an investigation already? Like, have they been ferreting out who's spoken with whom? Have they confiscated cell phones and that sort of I hate to even suggest it, but asking people within the investigative circle, hand over your...
Think about that. Look at all that. You're telling me that you're telling me that you don't think this thing is going to be continued? You're telling me you don't think the possibility exists Kohberger walks? There's too much goofy shit in this. Like I said, I personally think he did it. But I wouldn't convict him. Not a chance.
Phones, or we'll subpoena
I wouldn't send him to his death.
Search your history.
Well, we know that they asked everyone involved in the case and everyone in law enforcement involved in the case to save all of the records in their cell phones and emails so that they could go back and try to figure out who this leaker is. In terms of how the investigation has progressed, we don't know. That doesn't surprise me, though. This judge is serious, and he was serious before, and people were nervous to speak out before. I'll tell you, after the last hearing, I don't think we're going to know anything about that investigation. I think people are nervous.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's going to be interesting tomorrow to finally find out what's been going on behind the scenes here, and will they in fact delay the trial because of this ongoing investigation into the leaker.
Wow. And then this weirdness that just sort of crops up the day before the hearing.
Man.
Okay, well, obviously, don't make plans at this time tomorrow night, Bryan Engine. You're the lead guest once we hear how the hearing goes. Thanks for doing
Crazy shit. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have the hearing coming today. My prediction is it will be continued. When it comes to this thing, look, man, I don't believe a second of her story. It says the dash delivery was delivered at 3:59. You got to remember, this is after she delivers it, probably takes a picture, whatever the fuck the dashers do, and then enters the information. So it might have been delivered 3:57, 3:58. Kohberger was still driving at 4, right? Am I right or am I wrong? So she couldn't have parked next to him. I don't see how her story could even remotely be true. Could even remotely be accurate. But I hope the state puts her dope fiend ass on the stand. I hope to God she does. They do, so Ann Taylor can rip her ass up. God, dope fiends are just creepy fucking people, man. Just creepy fucking people. You can see it just by looking at her. She's just ready to tell a lie. And I think she told one. There's no possible way this fat woman sat and parked next to Bryan Kohberger. Bryan Kohberger was like, and then still went and killed. You know I'm telling the truth. I don't believe Kohberger saw the DoorDash driver at all, because why would you still go commit the murder? So whoever did it. I don't believe it. Guys, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. If you like what I do here, you find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Join the Gun Squad. Support the channel. Most importantly, leave your comment. Let me know what you think. Do you believe this fat woman's story? I do not.